Welcome, astrology lovers. It is so fantastic to be here with you tonight. And it is so wonderful to be here with you also, David, aka the Leo King. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me back.
And always such a pleasure. All right, so I am going to just quickly go over the flow of our broadcast tonight because we have some really, really juicy things to cover with you. We are going to start with something that the Leo King opened up for all of us in May. So he talked about the lunar axis shift and how this was a portal opening for those of us who consider ourselves light workers. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what's happening now. So that was May. We're going to talk about what's happening now in July. So excited to bring that up. We're going to go into a preview of David's lunar cycle, the Leo lunar cycle that he's going to be hosting within our flagship membership site, the Year of Astrology. He's going to talk about the themes for the actual lunar cycle, what astrological spiritual themes are going to be up for all of us. He is going to talk about the major transits that we need to be paying attention to and be aware of. And then we're going to talk about his full moon masterclass and what he's going to be covering in that. So a lot of really great stuff there, preview wise. And then I have a special announcement at the end. So make sure you stick with us to the end, have something really exciting to tell you all about. First off, first things first, David, we have not talked since you got married, and I just wanted to say congratulations. It is so awesome to see you and Leanna just so happy and all those beautiful photographs. So congratulations on your marriage.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind of you. We're loving it, getting adjusted to it. And it's been a wild ride, especially 2017, Woo!
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had the pleasure of meeting her in Las Vegas, and she's such a sweetheart. So it's awesome to see you two together.
Thank
Very
you.
good. All right. And then I've explained this before when I have broadcasts with David, but I just wanted to reiterate why I love David and the work that he does so much, and why whenever we have an offering, I am like, David's at the very top of my list for who I want to have involved. And the reason is because he was so helpful to me in a very challenging time in my life. His app and his daily forecast and his weekly forecast kept me sane, kept me in the bigger picture of why things were happening, and having that kind of bird's eye view about why things were unfolding in my life the way they were. And so I know many of you can relate with that. And that's why we love David, and that's why we love his app. If you're not on his app, I highly encourage you to check it out. It is so amazing. It's like totally over delivers in terms of value. So just check that out. And let me see. All right, let's dive in. You ready?
I'm all ready, always ready.
Okay, good. All right. So in May, you made some really bold claims about a portal that was opening up for all of us. And it was based around the lunar axis shift. So tell us, I first would love for you to define for all of us what you mean by light workers, because you said that this was a huge opening for light workers on the planet. So tell us what you actually mean by that term, because I don't know that everybody knows what that means.
Well, the term means an individual who feels that they have information in the positive sense, and sometimes it even could be negative, but all light is information, right? So the way that the sun lights up the earth is it shows us what's there. Just like how the light in this room shows us what's there, light is the spread of information. And it's information seekers that also are willing to spread their message. And it's an important message to bring positivity, to help shift people's perceptions of the world and how it's been, I guess you could say, I don't know, it's been set in stone of how to live and how to be, and disrupt that and show people there's much more life out there. There's much more positivity. You can live in a happier place within yourself. And being a light worker is a dedication to a higher calling, whether you call it God or spirit or source or anything like that. It's putting your own self aside and dedicating your whole life to spreading the light, spreading the positivity. And of course, when people say love and light, it can sometimes get a little too hippy dippy, and some people get a little too, overwhelming with it and actually don't even follow through with the work. That's why it gives the whole term work is it's work. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, but it requires substance. It requires you to keep growing. We're all going to fail in our life. We're all not perfect, but it's knowing when you fail that you're going to learn from it and apply it and help others along the way so they don't have to go through that same path, or that they don't have to go through those same hardships. So there's a lot to it. I mean, I could go on for hours about it, but the main thing is that right there, spreading that positivity and never straying from that.
I love that. I love that. And one thing that you said in Las Vegas that really stuck with me is you talked about how light is information. And it was like this moment of like, oh, okay, this makes total sense, because one of the things when you talk about spreading messages and, light workers who are out there spreading the essence of who they are, authentically, the interesting thing is that the more authentically people do that, the more powerful it is. So I started to think, well, that's because the light is actually coming through unfiltered. The more authentic we are, the more in our truth we are, the light is unfiltered and it just comes through and it radiates so clearly that way. So it's a call, I think, for everyone who has a message, has a truth inside of them that's just like bursting to be shared, that the more you can do that authentically, the more you can do that in your truth, the more powerful and potent it's going to be. So it's a pretty cool thing, the way that works.
It's a very great way that you look at it, especially, that filtration system. A lot of people, in the way that the world has been set up, is to kind of filter that light, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of put a lens between that purity. I mean, we see it all over the place in life. And now this is a time to bridge what you were talking about, how I've talked about this portal, is to where the filters have to come off now and the fear has to come off, because really a filter is a fear, right? Training wheels are a fear of falling, but it also helps you train. So it's not, fear isn't a bad thing. Fear is a good thing. It helps you from being fearful of falling off a cliff if you're going too fast driving in your new Porsche. That's why you should be a little scared before you just put it into sixth gear and push the gas all the way. There's a need to learn when to take it off, though, at the same time. And that's what the souls are going through, that are very long waited as far as waiting for this breaking through period. I mean, this summer or winter, if you're in Australia, never forget about you guys, or South Africa, is a true statement of filters coming off, enough training wheels that have been done, and stepping forward into your power and making a difference. This is the axis of Leo and Aquarius, which is truly about light, truly about how it spreads, whether it's spreading through humans or whether it's spreading through your life force individually, which more Leo is set towards. Both deal with spreading information and positivity and light and personifying it. Information and light and love, it's a verb, in my opinion. It's only a noun when you personify it through yourself, through your persona. And that's what Uranus is about, which rules Aquarius, is personification. It rules the heavens, it rules the skies, and that's what Uranus has always ruled. But what's interesting when you come into Leo is it doesn't really have too much Greek mythology to it. It's the sun. I mean, it actually goes into all of the religions, all of the messiahs, all of the gods that were of like the sons of God, that is the way to come to God, whether it's Christ energy, whether it's Osiris, whether it's, you can go down the list, and there's always this Messiah to God. And like Leo isn't God as much as it is the love for God, that message to that higher spot, where Uranus is a god actually itself, which was actually, the way to it. And both are the way to it in different ways. It's interesting that this is a time for us to rise up to those higher levels of ascension, not in the sense of we're going to a new dimension and it's going to be beautiful with, it's more like I'm ready to step up and be in a better sense of happiness now. I'm not going to be in fear anymore. There's been a lot of fear for so long because the transfer of the 2012 energy was not easy. And it took a long time to get used to this energy source. And now that it's here, it's time to take off those fear goggles and those training wheels and step fast into this light, step powerful. Leo's courage, Uranus as well, is rebellion. So, this is about breaking free of our own fears, breaking free of our own patterns that hold us from spreading our positivity truly and living authentically through our personification of love the way that we personify it.
I love that. Okay, what I would love to know from the audience is how many of you consider yourself light workers? Just put a yes in the chat. And how many of you feel like you have something that you want to share, like some positive either message with your words or just message with the way you live your life or message with the way that you're navigating through things? Whatever it is, if you feel like you have something, just give us a yes so we can see how many people are on board, because my guess is that a huge amount of your audience is in that camp. And that's one of the reasons why we're drawn to you and your light, because of the pure information source that you give to us. So I think that you're modeling that so well. So so you told us about the portal that opened in May. So this portal opens in May for all of us light workers to step up to personally, I feel like we've been waiting for this our whole life and probably many lifetimes. This is a huge moment for all of us. Okay, so it's time for us to step up. This happens in May. Now we're in July. Tell us about how the energy has shifted or grown since May and what that looks like for us now.
Well, I want to just add this and then we'll move there when it comes to the people. The other last thing of a light worker is the calling. It's like people feel called to it. It's almost like, there's a reason why you're supposed to be extra positive. I mean, that's just the simplest part. It's like, why am I here to be so positive? Why is everybody else kind of always looking to me to inspire them in a way, whether it's just helping them feel good about dinner tonight or helping them get that's all really the power of a light worker is. And believe it or not, those small little moments of love and positivity that you spread to others, imagine if everybody was doing it all the time, would change the world forever. But to look at from May to July, what a weird high and low situation. May came in with all this energy and all this excitement. And then, even into June, but the beginning of July kind of slumped off here. There was a lot of Cancer energy that has been going through July, and it's been preparation. Cancer is the sign that deals with your foundation, your emotions, and the root of your life. Of course, you can combine it with family and a lot more of the aspects but I'm an evolutionary astrologer, so I do much more of the consciousness realms. This has been dealing with how to take care of yourself better. And we've been preparing since we got a message in May, but it's almost like we had to back away from those doors opening and make sure that we're ready to walk through them. And that's what this last couple months has been is, the door open doesn't mean you just walk right through when the door opens. It's almost like a long hike that's been taking forever. And right when you get to the top, you don't need to start taking your selfie and stuff. Like, why don't you go get your hair done? Why don't you take a shower? Why don't you, look good and make sure you're good before you take the best selfie of the biggest accomplishment that you're ready to walk through in your life? Like, there's an aspect that we've been having to take our time, percolate on emotions, make sure people are in the right direction, make sure, everything's energetically correct inside of yourself. Because the end of July here and the month that I'm doing for the year of astrology is from July 23rd to this coming up into this eclipse, which is at the end of August and on August 21st. And there is 2 new moons in Leo. I mean, literally, one is on July 23rd with Mars there. And Mars is moving into Leo on July 20th, which it's happening. I mean, this is a big bang coming out of nowhere. Just like, whoa, because the North Node is in Leo. It hasn't been here for 18 years, right? It's finally time here for all this energy and this rush, and this new moon's happening at 0 degrees. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the year of astrology coming up here this weekend, starting is why is it so important that it's at the 1st degree of Leo? What does that mean? And we're going to talk about the rush that it brings and how Mars is entering in here for the extra amount of courage it brings. And so, yes, even though it's exciting and exhilarating and fun, at the same time, Leo is the lion and it means courage, and a lot of people, it's whether you're going to step up or back down. And right now, a lot of people are faced with that fear of the courage because Mars in Cancer and all this Cancer energy, it's like, oh, I got to make sure I'm okay first, and that's okay. But what I've been telling people and what I've been channeled to say through a lot of my channeling and a lot of the astrology is, July into August is a major, major shift point and a preparation for, gosh, all your wildest dreams to come true. But on top of it, finally being able to be in a position to where fear no longer exists in the deepest roots of your spiritual core of changing the world. Because if you have fear, you can't do the work all the way. If you have fear, you never reach your destination all the way. And a lot of people have been crippled. We all have fear. We all have it in the weird spaces. And this is going to bring it up, face it, and have that extra bit of courage to show fear that it wasn't as scary, but it taught us a good lesson. And at the end of the day, this could be really fun. It's always like when you push through the fear of going on a roller coaster, and then you get on and you're like, oh my God, that was the best experience of my life. There's this aspect of that coming, or the fear of entering a relationship, and then, oh my gosh, and then, oh my gosh, it was the best thing. There's these huge blocks in ourselves that we have to eradicate and erase. And there's this huge part of society that has to change, which is a big part of what I'm going to be talking about in the year of astrology, is the South Node in Aquarius. And I get to do the full moon, which is a lunar eclipse in Aquarius during my year of astrology. And I'm going to talk about how this lunar eclipse is truly kind of saying goodbye to the world, goodbye to what the media says, goodbye to the way that they want us to live, and creating, I don't want to say an empire because that sounds very like Leo-ish, but creating a kingdom of love that literally is on our own terms, and one that is happier, and one that doesn't worry about what other people think, one that doesn't worry about how it should be. No. And the other thing about Leo is it's not so concerned about as much knowledge as much as just love. And Aquarius gets a little too concerned. And with the South Node there, this is what we got to be careful of, is being concerned about having it all figured out. Nobody has it all figured out. If you think everybody has it all figured out right now, they're lying out of their teeth. Nobody knows what is going on in their own personal life right now. Everybody has come to a major juncture point of, trying to figure it out. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's going to be your own happiness that will guide the way. And this is going to teach you to have the courage and the balls to do that, which a lot of people right now feel it inside. They see it inside. They see it in the relationship. They see it in their job. They see it everywhere. And they're afraid to really just take the step towards what they really want to do. And that's what this is about, and learning to disconnect. And people are afraid to pull the plug.
Oh my God. Everything you just said was so awesome. And can I tell a quick story here?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I'm feeling this, and this is like so true, and it's definitely come up for me too. So the eclipse is coming in August, right? Obviously, we all know that.
Yeah.
And I happen to run a company called Astrology Hub. So it's like, okay, what is Astrology Hub's role in this? And I was really like sitting with this and sitting with it in my heart. Are we supposed to do like some big event? Are we supposed to do some big retreat? Are we like, what are we supposed to do for this eclipse? And I was on a plane, and I was sitting with this question, and it was like, those moments where it's like, boom, like download. It's like, you are to create a space where people can come to anchor the vibration of love. It's like, wow, okay, all right, like that's pretty potent. And so then it was like, the business part is like, well, okay, like how do you make money with that? Or how do you what do you do with that? Like, I don't understand like what that's going to be, then this is the Aquarius, right? Like overthinking it. And then it was so clear too. It was like, and any money that you make from that event is going to be donated, like 100%. It all has to be donated. And it was very clear also what it needs to be donated for. It needs to be donated to an organization that's going to teach children how to meditate, so that we have children in the world who are centered and grounded and connected, and who can make wise choices from that like internal place inside. It's like, oh my gosh. So I'm excited about this idea, but also scared, because we've never done anything like this. It's bridging this gap between spirituality and astrology, and it's talking about something totally new. And the other part is, it was clear that I needed to put together a series of meditations that we would get together for 14 days between the lunar eclipse on the 7th and the big solar eclipse on the 21st. And every day we would create a space where we come together and we meditate and we anchor that vibration of love. And so anyways, we put it all together, but I can't tell you how much fear has come in and out about what feels like the most true thing to my heart that probably I've ever done. And yet it's out on a limb. You know, it's different. It's not revenue generating in any way, shape, or form. You know, so then there's the fear like, God, we're going to lose it, because all these things cost money to produce, right? So it's like, but it feels so true and so right and so in alignment with what you just said, that it's about love. And we're here at this choice point. And all of us probably have something in us that we'd like to contribute. But then there's the analytical fear thing. You know, people are going to think it's weird, or I'm not going to.
That's the whole Aquarian thing, is society, other people,
totally,
and the gossip and the chatter and the, you know, it's the king having to walk through outside the castle walls and walk around and be like, that's the rule, that's the world I set, and everybody, you know, whether you throw lettuce at me or not, it don't matter.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I do feel that we have a lot of support for that right now. Like I even though it's there, and we're probably all acknowledging that there's fear there still, and there's hesitation, and there's concern about what other people might think. I would say, and I would love to ask this to the audience as well, like, do you feel supported though, like in a different way than you ever have? Because I'm tapping into that, and I'm guessing other people are too, that there's like some sort of energy supporting us in and moving forward and stepping up and being these beacons of light that we all know that we're here for. It's like why we're here.
I think you bring up a good point about the support, because the way that everything's aligning right now, you know, with this courage, there's extreme support by people who are in the same vibration as you. But they're all going to be found, because even though the South Node is an Aquarius, there's going to be lettuce thrown at the same time. But that also means there's going to be people with hugs to give. So it's kind of a two-headed monster in a way, where it's like, okay, one end, there's going to be all these people unhappy or don't like it. And then there's going to be all these other people who want to be part of it. And then when you mix the Neptune and Pisces element, which a lot of people aren't even like looking at during this whole month, I guess you could say, is, you know, this is around the time when, you know, Civil War stuff was starting to be talked about, and people were getting weird when Neptune reached halfway through Pisces, which is coming up here. And, you know, it was like this, you're seeing the separation of worlds. You're seeing the separations of life. You're seeing the separations in how people vibrate. And it's Dolores Cannon talked about this new Earth, you know, very extremely, and how it would literally kind of pop out into, you know, different sections. And this is, I don't think there's any better way to do it than a massive one eclipse in the Leo, but of course 2 new moons in Leo. In the middle, also Jupiter's going to be squaring Pluto coming up here, which is massive, because you got Jupiter, which is the biggest planet, and Pluto, which is literally like the smallest, but both deal with extremes and change and expansion of change, and forcing you to make extremely difficult changes in your life, but they will give you benefits. So it's like making these hard choices, and, you know, unfortunately, there is kind of a separation of the conscious and the unconscious. It's hard, because it's like we're all going our own ways, and there's people that are not going to come with us that we thought were going to come. Like we were like saying for years we were going to go on this ship together, and when Noah came on the ark, and I'm like with my zebra buddy, and I've got my zebra, and then finally that zebra's gone, and some giraffes sitting next to me now. Like, what? I was thinking the whole time I was going to be right next to a damn zebra. I'm a zebra. It's like, no. Like, wow, this is changing fast. You got to remember, the solar eclipse is trining Uranus coming up here. And you know what? Exactly, to the degree. And it will be retrograde. So it will be a very weird flip-flop that we all didn't anticipate in how our life is going to be. And if you think that you have got it figured out, you're totally wrong, because Uranus is something that we can't see, because Uranus rules not only the heavens and the skies, But they say that the father of Uranus, I just taught this in my class today, the father of Uranus ruled the skies that the gods came from, that they breathed, that mortals could not breathe.
Mm.
And so when you're dealing with Uranus, you're dealing with a planet that has a father that taught him that there is other dimensions of higher air that could be used by gods that mortals can't breathe. You got to think like Uranus is literally a planet that was bred and born into that kind of understanding. So there are forces that are outside of this world that are literally coming in the positive, because it's an exact positive trine and it's in fire and it's in Aries and Leo, right? That are saying like, you know, we can't see how it's going to be. We're not, I don't want to say we're not good enough, but we're not at that level enough yet to understand it. So there's a lot of that in this month where, you know, I'd be a liar if I said I know exactly everything that's going to happen, because it's quite the opposite. It's more like, wow, this is like 52 card pickup. Have you ever played that game? Whenever you know, it's just like you just throw all the cards everywhere. Like, and whatever the cards that get dealt are the ones that are meant to be great to you. It's not a formal deal like at a blackjack table. It's much more of like a okay, here you go. And there's some kind of excitement about that. I think people are ready for a shakeup. I think people are ready for edge. If you notice, Jupiter's coming into Scorpio following this eclipse, these eclipses, right? As its entrance into Scorpio is going to heal all of the traumatic, intense underworld energy that happened from October of 2012 all the way into the beginning of 2015, and even didn't even finish until the end of 15. But you know, it went back into Sag and then it came back into Scorpio in June and then through August. So it's like, man, this has been going on for years, this underworld dark healing that needs to take place. And for some reason, the universe is going to flip us all on our heads, change everything crazy, get us into our hearts, throw a new person next to us, throw all the right people with us, throw us into healing the last 5 years, and then just kaboom, the edge. Everybody is dying for that feeling of, oh, yes. I mean, it's like sex. People are dying for that extreme need for connection on the deepest intimate levels in their life. And it's like a bunch of vampires that haven't had blood, and we're all them. And that's what this is coming through to remind us, that we need that blood. And I know that might sound kind of gnarly, but the fear of, I use this analogy. Did you ever see Interview with the Vampire with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt? Brad Pitt's afraid to drink the blood. He eats rats for years until he finally gives in and eats a child, and then they end up turning the child, but then he's able to finally live his life normal. There's a part of us all having to face this fear, no matter how crazy it might be. And I don't want to say that we need to be vampires eating children or anything. I'm using a very crazy analogy, though, of how we need to not be afraid to go for the part of our primal. Leo is primal. Leo is a lion. The sun is primal. It exudes life force. And Scorpio is coming in after these eclipses with Jupiter. So this is kind of like setting the tone for the 6 months, right? Because solar eclipses set the tone and eclipses set the tone for at least 6 months. And with a Jupiter entering Scorpio, it's how do I get that primal energy back? How do I not only face my fears, but how do I get that hunger back? How do I get that edge back? How do I get that feeling that life is pouring through my veins? And how do I get out of my numb feelings and my numb aspects? That's what this is really deeply, deeply about, too, on a very spiritual sense.
Well, as somewhat ominous as that could sound, I think it's also equally exciting, and I'm sure many people can relate with that. So, David, let's go to the actual preview of your lunar cycle. So, for those of you who don't know, we have our flagship membership program. It's called the Year of Astrology, every lunar cycle, a different astrologer is the guide, and they do a new moon forecast and ceremony, and they do a full moon masterclass. They assign soul work, they assign books that we can read. They even, in the case of David and a few of the other months, they have a musical theme for the month. So let's talk a little bit about the theme that you selected for the month. And before you do that, I just want to explain what I mean by the theme. So one of the main points of the Year of Astrology is to enable all of us to use astrology as a way to organize our spiritual growth. So by taking the curriculum of the cosmos, whatever theme is being highlighted each lunar cycle, we then integrate that into the spiritual path that we're on. So tell us about the theme that you chose for your lunar cycle and why you chose it.
Well, it took me a lot to think about because, it's hard because Aquarius and Leo are so different, and I'm having to deal with them, and they are the very, I don't want to use the term, but they deal with very personal stuff. They're fixed signs, right? So really my themes are, one of them is disconnection, which I think is very hard for people.
Yeah.
Because people are attached. Leo attaches, doesn't want to let go. Aquarius is like, peace out. I'll put that, that was a fun night, and then they leave before you wake up. And you're like, where'd they go? It's like, whoa, that was quick. But disconnection is very difficult for people. And in order to achieve people's true heart positions, my theme of disconnection is very intense for this month, because it's learning that, in order to not only ascend and to move forward and to keep going and to raise the vibration, you got to pull the cord sometimes, especially I'll use the analogy of a television, right? If you're going to put a new TV up, eventually, you're going to take the old one down and unplug the cord and put the new TV on that spot. That, a lot of people are still trying to kind of hold on to a lot of things that maybe they shouldn't have to hold on to. And I'm going to really teach that theme. And then, of course, the other theme is truly living in your true personification of love, your true personification of self, which I think a lot of people want to do, but are afraid to do. And especially in the world today, this is the best time to do it. Literally, it's like, we like to say in America, we're the land of the free, but really, there's a lot of places in the world more than ever that you can truly, really express yourself the way that you want to now and truly manifest the life of your dreams. And this is going to be the time in which you can do it. And those are my two themes, are truly looking at your heart, what you really want, because you might not actually like the answer sometimes, because it is going to force you to disconnect from something that you thought you liked a lot. But in order to move on to the next level, you're going to have to disconnect from something you really like and probably love in order to get something that you now love even more. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, it does make sense. Definitely. All right. And so then you'll be assigning soul work for us. So weekly soul work, where we actually get to take those themes and start practicing them in our lives, because that is the thing we talked about earlier about embodying the light worker. So it's, we can't just have these theoretical concepts. We need to actually do the work and do the practices and integrate it into ourselves. So that's going to be cool. I'm excited to learn about your soul work. But for now, let's talk about, you've talked about this, or you've touched on it, but let's just talk about it one more time in terms of the new moon forecast that you're going to do on Friday. So the new moon forecast and ceremony that you're going to lead, what are the major themes that we need to be paying attention to this lunar cycle?
Well, the actual formal aspect of it is lighting up your true soul. Okay. So the theme is how do you understand what you really love? Because I think a lot of people, when it comes to your heart, it's very primal and it's very simple. And I think a lot of people get way too overly, how is it going to affect this? And how's it going to affect that? And how's it going to do that? It's like they're already building chords to things that they haven't even created yet. So it can't move forward. So I'm going to teach people of how to truly understand what they love without predetermining how it's going to affect the world. It's whoa, that's a big one. I think that the other part of it is about the courage aspect and the strength and having to learn to define. A lot of people have a lot of verbs in their life, and this is I want to help people. I want to make lots of money. I want to be king of the world. Well, what world? And what kind of king? And where? And, these are the things that people don't know when it's like when you're lighting up your true soul with Mars on top of this new moon. If you don't know how to use identity, which the spiritual term for identity is ego, which has been my main thing about this is saying that ego has a good side too. The whole spiritual community is trying to completely eradicate the ego, which will bring us into a world where we're all wearing white clothes and we all look the same. And this new moon is screaming, I want to wear the color I want to wear, and I want to wear the way I look, and I want to wear my hair with a one on the side, the way that I do my hair. It's like, this is asking for you to really pull it out instead of going, no, my mom doesn't want me to do that, or she said that one thing to me once and I don't know about that, or my best friend kind of gives me that cold shoulder every time I tell her I'm going to that nail salon or whatever. It's like, what's going on with that stuff? That stuff has to end. We're at that kind of a moment. So really, when I say about lighting up your true soul, are you really ready to light up your true soul? I'm going to give you a lot of tips of how to use it the right way.
Okay, awesome. And you'll be covering the major transits and all the...
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a given. Okay. I go way into the depth of all of it, but I was just doing all the pointers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then your full moon masterclass. So every astrologer guide does a new moon forecast and ceremony, and then a full moon masterclass where they're teaching some element of astrology for us to dive deeper into. And yours is called Mastering Disconnection of the Heart. So tell us a little bit about that when you're going to be covering in the masterclass.
Well, a good example would be, and what I'm going to teach people is, of course, the heart wants to be connected to everything at all times, but there's moments where Aquarius teaches us, because it's the water bearer, right? The water bearer is always pouring water into a new cup. It doesn't sit there and pour into one cup, and it doesn't go backwards because the one person said, hey, I would like a refill. It's like, no, I've got all these people in front of me that need it. So it's about learning when you have to move on in life, right? When do you reach a position in your life to where it's like, okay, it's time to move on? And I think a lot of people are having problems in the way, whatever situation you're in right now in your life, you're in a position to where you're like, I'm going to try and find a way to stick around this a little bit longer. When really it's time to, probably disconnect, or at least find ways to disconnect. Or more importantly, it's teaching you to if you're really going to listen to the true identification of your heart, when is that moment when you can move forward? How do you let go? And it's not letting go forever. One thing about Aquarius is it might come back around again, So, but it's just got to keep moving forward until whenever the domino effect comes right back to that space. But it's learning when you have to, let go. I mean, it's like a family gathering. It's like, you could sit there on Christmas morning or Christmas Eve all night, but it's like eventually when people look at their clocks, it's like, okay, I love you, but I have to go home. I'm not going to just sleep here. You know what I mean? It's like, I got to go home. I got things to do. People having issues in certain areas of their life, I'm going to cover that astrologically.
Okay, awesome. All right, anything that we can do to prepare for your lunar cycle? Anything we can do over the next few days to get ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is, prepared?
I think a lot of the preparation is really defining what you want and not being afraid to be honest with that, and then taking a look at it from multiple angles. So, I want my job to change. Okay, write that down, put that on there. But then Uranus and Aquarius is asking for us to be like a satellite and look at it from every weird angle. Like, well, how does it affect your family? How does it affect your home? How does it affect this? And after all these different angles in your life of how as many as you can think to look at it, how do you score that now? Do you score that with, yes, that's the smartest decision to do, or no, that actually won't be good? These are going to be the things that I will help you understand and score and give a rating system for to help you get through. So I would come prepared to the class with the things in your life that you really want, and not being afraid to be honest with yourself of what it is either. It might be the most insane thing ever, but we'll find a way to make sure if it's in alignment or not.
All right. So the sun is doing some crazy stuff with my lighting right now. Can you see that?
That's perfect.
Yeah, okay, so basically the light and the dark, like I like that. So basically what you're saying is to journal before we come on Friday and spend some time with what it is we really want. Don't censor ourselves. Do you want us to do the thing where we're looking from all angles, or just like come straight up with what we want without censors?
I don't even think you need a journal, but if you I mean, put it this way: if you need to journal what you want, there's a problem. Okay,
That's true. Probably if
because
we,
that means you really don't want it. Okay, it should be like tattooed to your internal soul of your heart, like bleeding, like you know how the old school mom tattoos are with the bleeding heart. Like it should be like that already. Like it should already be tattooed on you. So you should be showing up of whether or not we're gonna have to disconnect and do laser removal of this thing, or if we're gonna keep this tattoo on. That's a better way of describing it. But no, I think that the preparation is coming with what you know are very serious situations where you're afraid of disconnecting to move into more things that are going to bring you love. And how are we going to weigh those things out? And really it's just coming with an open mind, coming with an open heart, and coming with, you know, not being afraid to hear maybe some of the answers that are going to answer those questions, but being willing to take them to the bank at the end of the day. You know,
awesome.
to cash them and
That's
buy
good.
something good with it.
Yeah. All right. So we started last lunar cycle we had Divine Harmony. She is an amazing astrologer, real Jungian, you know, lots of shadow, like amazing exploration. And she recommended a couple books. She recommended Spiritual Bypassing by Robert Masters, and she recommended Emotional Intimacy. And I had this flash of inspiration. It was like, gosh, I started listening to Spiritual Bypassing. It was like amazing. As something you talked about with you know, squashing the ego and the whole spiritual movement, like wanting to like eradicate the ego. I mean, he talks about that a lot in that book, in the Spiritual Bypassing book. But when I was reading the book, it was like, wow, I really want to have a book club. I really want to have a book club where we can talk about these things and really share, you know, what's coming up for us and what we're learning. So we added a book club element to the membership. And so before this call, I asked David what book he would want us to read this lunar cycle. And he said, what?
Well, I said Bringers of the Dawn, because I think that it's a channeled spiritual book about the Pleiadians, and it's a channeled spiritual book about truly, I guess you could say, the true authenticity of why you're here and how to illuminate that spot. I mean, that book is like I don't want to say it's my Bible, because I do read the Bible, but it is like my spiritual Bible. So I recommend that book, because that book will make you face the truth of like, and that book, and I'll be very honest with everybody, if you read that book and you actually follow a lot of that book, you follow that book, your whole life will change forever. But most people are really afraid to follow that book, because that book really throws the hardest stuff on the line. That book is no joke. That book will scare the living crap out of people. But at the same time, it will empower them into the greatest life of their life. Are you going to be a bringer of the dawn or not? So it's a step up or not kind of book, you know?
Totally. So when you said that you wanted to have that book be for your lunar cycle, I was like, yes, because it is definitely one of my favorites of all time. And I totally echo what you just said, that if you read it and you actually do what it's suggesting that you do, that your life will most certainly change in ways that you could never imagine. So we'll be exploring that together, which is going to be so fun.
I have one more book too. I have one more book.
All right, 2 books. Well, see, it's impossible to have just one.
I would do. I mean, a million people have read it probably, but it's The Alchemist.
Oh, so good.
Because that book, you know, I think it reminds you that what you're looking for is actually underneath your feet the whole time. And I think that people are afraid to, admit that. So they go on these long, distracted searches for thinking what they want or the treasure of their life is out there instead of already there, waiting for them to access now. And that book highlights it a lot.
Fantastic. What a coincidence. My sweetheart, Ryan, is reading that book right now. And he's been reading me. I read it like 10 years ago or something, but it's so nice to revisit the energy of it. And he's been reading me quotes from it. It's like, it's super inspiring. Okay, so 2 amazing books that we get to read together. Fantastic. All right, so that brings me to my special announcement, because we normally only open up our membership once, maybe twice a year. But because of the massiveness of what's happening with the eclipse coming in August, with David, the Leo King, leading us into this eclipse portal, we have decided to open up the membership for just a few days. So if you're not in the Year of Astrology yet and you want to join us, you can do so now only through Saturday. So Leo King is going to be live with his new moon forecast and ceremony on Friday. So if you want to join us for that live, make sure you join before then. But we will keep it open through Saturday, because he's going to have we're going to have the recording of that. So if you can't join us live on Friday, you can tune into that on Saturday. So I've talked a little bit about the membership, but it is just this incredible community that we've built, that people are truly changing because of the community, because of the integration of astrology into their daily life, because of the soul work that we're all doing together, because of the books we're reading together, because of the wisdom of the astrologers. It's truly beyond my wildest expectations. We had the idea for Year of Astrology, at the beginning of the year, but it has become this amazing, amazing group of people that I seriously consider family. I always call them Ohana. Ohana is family in Hawaiian. And we are really like on a journey together. And this lunar cycle, we get to be led by the Leo King, and we'll be we'll be going into the eclipse, and it's just going to be a super, super potent lunar cycle. So even if you're not sure if you want to stay on month after month after month, that's okay. You can just join this lunar cycle, see if it's for you. And if it is, then you can stay with us, because after Leo King is going to be Maurice Fernandez. He's going to take us after the eclipse, and then after that is Donna Woodwell, and then towards the end of the year we have Natasha Alter and Ann Orderly, and then we already have a lineup for 2018 forming, and we're reaching out to them right now. So it's just this like incredible space that we've been able to create, and that everybody's contributing to. I mean, someone from the community went live today to share her reflections on spiritual bypassing, and I was so moved. I was like, the wisdom coming out of this young lady was so inspirational. So we're inspiring each other too. It's $27 a month. You can join us right now. Again, you can join us right now, limited time. We're only going to keep it open just to like kind of open up this little portal, get a whole new cohort of people in, and then we're going to close the doors down again. I don't know when we're going to reopen again, but we definitely are having this window right now. So would love to have as many of you as possible on board with us, and we'll get to know each other, get to meet each other, and do this light work together. Of course, you're all invited to the Global Eclipse Meditation. That's completely free. You can join us for that as well. Hope to see as many of you as possible on that. So we're going to be anchoring love and really, rooting that vibration of love into the ground. And the way that I keep seeing it is like there's the globe, and then all of us are these beacons of light that are just shining bright and holding that anchor, that vibration, while there's a lot of chaos in the world. And we're with each other, supporting each other. We're anchoring into that space of love so that we can inspire with our lives. So I don't know, David, do you have anything you wanted to add there?
No, I think if people don't know how this works either, we also, all the astrologers, we did like a yearly forecast. So I think people would get access to that, right?
Yeah.
Too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which was actually one of the funnest things I've done was all of the astrologers that were part of this. We all gave a certain time of like timelines, and we gave our predictions for the year. So you can go back, because we're already only halfway through the year. You can go back, see how that was, and then there's still a whole half a year left to go look at those. And then the whole month, each astrologer is in the actual room with you to bring up topics, talk about things. People might have questions. And so we kind of are in the room, kind of hanging out with everybody for the whole time we're in there. So if you want to be with me in there, talking about all this stuff constantly, and after these 2 events that I do of the cycle, that's part of it too. So you're kind of like hanging out with me for the month, and the other astrologers that are all great that are thereafter.
It's fantastic. They like overgive. They're in there, they're answering questions. I mean, we literally are hanging out together in this private membership group and just sharing. It's incredible. Um, so a couple of questions. I did mention that you can cancel anytime. So if you want to try it out for a month, you can totally do that. Cancel anytime, no questions asked. We don't, you don't have to like submit some dissertation about why it's not for you. Just tell us. If you can't make any of the events live, they're all recorded, so you can just access them in a membership portal where all of the recordings are. You're also going to get access to all of the months that we've already done, so all of the master classes. And like David said, you're going to get access to that 2017 forecast that was totally epic. You're going to get access to a gift called How to Read a Chart. So for those of you who are really new and you're just like, I don't even, I want like super basics, we do have a gift in there that you can have access to. And then we also have an advanced gift for those of you who are on more of the advanced level about the living sky technique with Adam Gainsbourg. So that's a whole nother gift that you get when you register. I also wanted to just mention that all levels are welcome. We literally have all levels in this group. We have people who have been studying astrology for 30 years. They consider themselves, maybe they're not professional astrologers, but it has been a part of their life for a very long time. And we have professional astrologers. We have both of those. And then we have like the total newbies and the people that are just getting excited about astrology, probably through someone like you, Leo King, or exactly you. So they're getting excited about astrology and just wanting to sort of be in the whole energy of it and learn, because it really has something for everyone. When we designed it, it was like, let's have the mental aspect covered, so that the mind, and let's have the heart covered as well. And that's, I feel we've done an amazing job at integrating those two things. The full moon masterclass is kind of like the mind thing where you're learning. It's real. It can get technical. They definitely keep it at a place where most people can understand. But then you have the ritual and the ceremony and the gathering and the community and the soul work. So it's just, as you can see, I love it. And I love to extend this invitation to you right now for this period of time, and would love to see you on the inside of the year of
Same here.
Yeah. So the link is in the chat and you can join us. Again, it's now through Saturday.
All right. And this thing hasn't been open for like 6 months or something, right?
I know it hasn't. No, we have not. We have not opened.
When was it that we did the
January?
Yeah, it was, everybody signed up January.
Yeah. So yeah, get on the train. That's what
I
was thinking.
I'll be honest, I feel a little special, that like you guys called me up and like you guys are reopening it because I'm a little feeling special here. I'll admit.
You are special. You should feel special. This is a huge thing that we're doing. And like you said, we haven't done it since January, but it's like, there's going to be a lot of people who want to get on this train with Leo King as our like captain. Is that the conductor? Not our captain, the conductor. He's our train conductor. All right. Well, thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared with us tonight. I think this is it's like a rally call. It's time. It is. And it's extremely exciting. So
yeah, because it's leading into a huge fall for people before Saturn comes into Capricorn at the end of the year, So I've been telling people like, do it now, because when Saturn comes into Capricorn, as a Capricorn, you guys are serious. Saturn's going to be serious, and you want to come into the serious game prepared and ready with that. You face your fears, that you went for your dreams, that you know what your heart was. You disconnected from the crap that don't work. You don't want to come in to the end of this year without that,
Totally. Well, and it's the eclipse is one of those huge openings that we all want to be able to take advantage of. And just like you said, there's these windows or these portals that open for all of us to step into something new. And so by doing this together, we're set up for whatever is going to happen in the fall. And I know that many of you, have had that experience of sort of missing those opportunities. It's like, God, there was a window open. Like, this is what I was meant to learn at that time. This is what I was meant to step into, but I was too afraid, or I wasn't ready yet, or I hesitated. So I think, for all of us, this is this opportunity. The doors are open. We can really step into it. We can really support each other in that effort. And then, yeah, I know that the Capricorn serious thing, I think my Gemini moon like balances that out to a certain extent, but I definitely can tend towards the serious as well.
Yeah, it's not, and Capricorn's not a bad thing, you
No, I know.
know.
I know.
It,
I know you
it's
don't mean
it's 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 got a it's actually a female sign, you know. Like people think it's masculine for some reason. It's
that.
a feminine sign. And so I think it's the feminine side of Saturn, whereas the male part of Saturn is Aquarius.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
you know,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So, because of course, Aquarian and Saturn and the father, Uranus is is the father. And so when Saturn is in Aquarius, it's almost like kind of the beat down from the father on Saturn. So Saturn's getting told what to do from the higher realms of the gods. All Saturn is kind of like, here's your earth and you're in control of it.
Yeah.
But nothing higher than that.
Yeah.
And so when Saturn comes into Aquarius, Daddy's telling him, and that's where it feels real serious. When Saturn's in Capricorn, it's like, I got to have all my stuff together and all together, because if I don't, when I come see Daddy in Aquarius, oh gosh, oh God, it won't be fun.
Oh my gosh. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, would love to see you all on the inside of Year of Astrology. Even if you don't join us for that, please join us for the global eclipse meditation and continue to show up. If you'd like to get live alerts when we go live, we're going live a lot more lately. I'm bringing on amazing guests. I'm doing this a lot more often, so you can tune in and join us for these live broadcasts. If you'd like to get live alerts, click on the link in the chat and you'll get alerted every time we go live, so you won't miss things when you do want to show up. So thank you, thank you, thank you, David. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing up, and I cannot wait to see you again soon. Aloha.
Bye.